One of the best experiences that I've had is when the client was aware that I was Saudi. He knew that I was part of the team, but when he knew that I was Saudi, he was very shocked. So my name is Miznan Behri. I'm an electrical engineer by profession. I have 2 degrees, bachelor and a master's degrees in electrical and computer engineering. Throughout these 2 degrees, I focused on research, but after that, I decided to explore the engineering workplace outside of research. So currently, I'm working with the WSP, construction engineering firm. They specialize in consulting for supervision, for design, and also project management services. I've went to several projects like Riyadh Metro, King Abdullah Financial District, and as of now, a hospitality project taking palaces like Red Palace to Wake Palace into ultra luxurious 6-star hotels. So that's about my professional life. Moving on to my personal life, I was born and raised in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. I'm a national and I have a big family in Jeddah, but since all of the jobs are now shifting to Riyadh, even my sister is working here in Riyadh, and all of the big projects, all of the big things are happening there. But for us, that wasn't a problem. My family raised us in an open-minded way, especially that we're from Jeddah, and that enabled us to look for our careers, explore our passion. And for my sister, completely different route. She's into arts. I'll just talk a little bit about her. There is manga for kids and manga for teens published around Saudi Arabia that is free. She's one of the artists, like director and artist of those comics. So for me, it's very nice that this is the way that we were raised. Like, I'm very proud of my sister, and I'm also very proud of myself and where I reached. And now it's a very golden era for Saudi females to try and work on whatever career path that they aspire for. So for me, even in my free time, like I go for Toastmasters, I draw, I bake, I read, write, all of these things, letting myself not just stick to a certain thing, but as long as I work on whatever feels right. I'll be straightforward. The career choice that I've made was because it was convenient, and all of the projects happening in Saudi Arabia right now are construction projects. So it was just easy for me to pursue that. But what made me stay in the company is 2 reasons. The first one is I took it as an opportunity to explore myself out of research, because I had a very long academic, I've been focusing a lot on academia for a long time. And the second thing is the company fostered everyone to look for their career and learning paths. So I'll start with the first project that I've been exposed to in WSP, the Riyadh Metro project. I was lucky, again being honest, that I was placed in that project. I worked there for 6 months, and I've been asking here and there, but I did not see any Saudi female who was an electrical engineer anywhere in any of the stations. Now, for people, the Riyadh Metro project is so huge, so it's divided into 2 packages. I've worked in one half, and the other half I have not worked on. So for the half that I've worked on, I went to multiple stations, and again, I was very lucky that I had people who were very supportive, very protective as well, because there were not any female on site. Like, it was to the extent that there were not any restrooms for females. So all of that was a struggle. And I remember how some engineers on site, they would talk to me in the pronoun of he. And in Arabic, when you talk to someone saying you, there's a masculine and feminine, but the you that I've been receiving was a masculine one. So I took all of that on the side. I wanted to learn, I wanted to be a pioneer and try to make it normal that female will be coming on site, whether it was friendly or not. It needs to be normalized. So while the challenges were high and I felt that some people looked down on me, some people were actually very supportive, I still kept going. I still tried to look for the hard way. I did not take whatever I had as enough. I always wanted more. I always wanted to learn more. I kept asking questions. I was even challenging the people that I've worked with. I was telling them that could I do this certain task? Could I handle this? Just to feel that I can do it. Not just because I'm a Saudi female, but because we are all equal and we all can do the job. And so it was very rewarding at the same time, knowing that I was one of the first females in the kingdom who were going on site and seeing how a project is built. For me, I saw it when it was almost complete. They were doing the testing and commissioning. So my line manager kept telling me so many times, you are very lucky that you came at this phase, because if I came when it was still being built, it would be very messy and noisy. But if it was already 100% complete, they would put all of the ribbons and everything is locked. But I was somewhere in between, where I saw how things were operated, their standards. I was able to ask questions to the contractors. Everyone was very accommodating to the level that I was in. But at the same time, I was also very lucky that there was that one particular station located in the airport. There are two metro stations, one for the domestic flights and one for the international flights. The international flights were a work in progress. I went there, I saw how the wall was stripped, all of the cables were dangling, everything was still being built, the painting was not done, nothing. The air conditioning vents were all on the floor waiting to be assembled. So it was all great. I'm an electrical engineer, but I also learned things from construction perspective. So it's a combination of being challenged, but also feeling blessed. I'm very lucky that I had people around me who were supportive, even though they were the minority, but overall it was a great experience. Well, it feels overwhelming at first, but also it's very motivating to want to be unique and want to stand out. The reason why it's overwhelming is because some people will look down on you. Some people will not give you tasks. They don't think that you're proficient or that you have the capability. But if you are strong and if you want to strive and be unique, and people actually see your willpower and your intentions, they will support you 100%. And I give a lot of credit to Saudi Arabia Vision 2030, because I think that if the plan was not to empower women and enable them, the majority or even the minority would not even want to enable women. They don't want to have a liability. But from what I've seen, from what I've heard, actually, all women around, they actually can be even better than some men in the field. Saudi Arabia was conservative for quite a long time, and that made women feel like they didn't have the capability or the opportunity to do whatever that they wanted. But now, since the floor is open for all women to work, we have seen them stand out so much, and that would make any woman want to be a pioneer in whatever field. So I guess in short, the challenges made it seem very rewarding to be where I was placed, very blessed and very happy. Well, I'll start with family. I remember some family members who are conservative would say, "How come you're an electrical engineer? Isn't that something for a man?" And I had a toolbox full of tiny electronic pieces, wires and everything, and I would try to convince them, no, it's out. Actually, I think for the electronics part, it's even more appealing to a female. But with time, I guess that doesn't matter anymore. Their opinions don't matter because the country now is very supportive, whatever field. And I'm very happy. I have not imagined that a Saudi female would go on space. And while there were so many people against that idea, but knowing that the country was behind this makes me feel safe. So even with the people around me, even some family members who are not very supportive, I'm very happy that my parents, my sister, and my close friends were all supportive to make me focus on my goal and want to be unique. And I would say actually part of why Saudi was conservative is what made me choose to be an electrical engineer, because I knew one day that time will come where I would be there, where people would be looking for Saudi female engineers, and I know that I can contribute so much and I would add value. Well, at work I have a personality, and at home I have a different personality. At work I sometimes have to be too assertive because I'm an engineer. The environment around me is male dominant. So when I go home, it's mostly recharging, wanting to be with my sister, or even spending time doing hobbies, doing whatever I can just to mentally and emotionally recharge. Because I have to admit, it's a bit difficult dealing with so much men on site. And I will share like one short story about that. We had a very short deadline to deliver something, but the men around were diverting into different topics that were important but were not urgent. And one day, that specific day, I just wanted to scream at them and tell them, please go somewhere else. We have a task to work on. The client is coming. But I was assertive, took deep breath, I was calm, and I told them, please take this in another room. And they were mocking, because they don't take me seriously. They were like, oh, so you're kicking us out. I told them, please. So imagine how would that be for a female, especially for those females who were not raised to be strong, to be assertive. It's not very friendly for them. And while I encourage all females to have that balance in their life, to be both strong and lean with whatever situation that may arise, it's still takes a lot of energy to try to balance. I believe that my role, not just because of the Saudi vision, but also in general, it's important because we need all genders, we need all nationalities, all cultures to bring out the best solution, the most creative, in the most efficient way. Because if people have the same mentality or the same culture, there's not going to be room for creativity, and they may not be even that motivated. But when there are when there are people from different cultures, the challenges will be higher, the communication might be less difficult. But if people are open-minded and they are challenged to experience other people's absolutely different way of thinking, that will bring out more to the company, to the community, and to everyone in the world. And adding to that, for females specifically, when females are on site, it's a harsh environment. There are workers everywhere. So when a female is there, it kind of makes them less furious or less angry. And now they're even looking for more and more females, because if they are just fighting all the time, and if no one is telling them that, guys, focus, this is work, it's going to make all negotiations, all conversations very difficult. So imagine if there is even more diversity, different cultures, where people can all brainstorm together and work together without taking things personally, because they're from the same culture, they're from the same gender. All of these barriers will be broken, and it will be a much smoother and much nicer environment. I think what I can add to different workplaces as a Saudi female electrical engineer would be valuable in so many ways, not just because of how I grew my personality, how I was raised, and the fact that I have 2 degrees, a bachelor and a master's, but also because where I reached, I had to work harder for it compared to men who have had it for years and it was normalized for years. For me, the challenge was higher, the doors were closed. When I wanted to be an intern during my time in bachelor, I know so many females had to maneuver and not continue on their path because it was dominant by male and not open so much for females. So they have a loss of being just close-minded. They're not welcoming to everyone, they're not inclusive, they're not diverse, and all of that is negative to the company. It won't add more value to their mission and vision and enabling other people. One of the best experiences that I've had is when the client was aware that I was Saudi. He knew that I was part of the team, but when he knew that I was Saudi, he was very shocked. And I've seen him commend me for my work and even relying on me more than before. And I give a lot of credit to where Saudi is now, because if it wasn't for that, I think I would have been looked and frowned upon. I wouldn't be taken seriously. As for the worst, one of the worst encounters that I've had was when something wasn't working out for the contractor and we were from the consultant side. A lot of fights were happening, and I would say they're technically confidential, but since I'm not sharing the details, I can say that it was unpleasant to be there. That even though I'm already in front of you, not only I felt disrespected that you were arguing with others, but also the fact that it was such a stressful situation that I wouldn't have wanted anyone to undergo. But that encounter also taught me that one day maybe I will be in his shoes. I just have to know how to react in a more calm and yet assertive way. My career aspirations, and it also aligns with my principles and values, is to support the people, the environment, and everyone around the world, all countries. A huge part of that is sustainability. The goals that I'm focusing on is to deliver solutions that are sustainable, whether it is in engineering or not really even in engineering. Like for my personal life, I have my water bottle, I use a mug, I try not to use plastic cutlery, I don't have a lot of waste, I recycle. All of these little things matter. And looking at a company level and delivering big solutions, if you're working on renewable energy, on saving the environment, all of these things align so well with my values and principles of helping the people around you, helping the environment. In my company, because of the public speaking and leadership skills that I've learned from Toastmasters, I was part of the inclusion and diversity group, where I was working with project managers and the head of enablement and engagement, and even other employees who are just working, where we would organize speeches about different cultures and certain topics. So for me, we had the Saudi National Day presentation, which I worked on last year. We had different segments for it. The segment I took was about the history of Saudi Arabia. The other segments that my colleagues took was for the transportation revolution in Saudi Arabia, and the last colleague, the tourist areas of Saudi Arabia. So working with that team, knowing how to give the public speech, even helping them with their own scripts was all very rewarding. And also, aside from that specific presentation, we were working all together, trying to bring new ideas, new things to the table. All of these skills, I don't think I would have had the capability or the courage or being proactive in them if it wasn't for Toastmasters. My advice to every Saudi female is not to look at yourself as a Saudi female. Just look at yourself as a normal person and focus on your passion. Don't let the people around you tell you what major you want to go for. But if you do want to go for any STEM field, science, technology, math, and engineering, keep that goal and don't let other people bring you down. Just think of yourself like any other normal person and do your best while you are at your youth, because the older that you grow, the harder it is to empower and develop yourself. So do as much as you can during your young age. Keep a clear goal, regardless of how unique you may be, and don't let anything stop you.